My name is Brian Castellani. I am producer and host of Ordinary Yoga. Today, we will be interviewing Dana Flynn and Jasmine Tarkeshi from Laughing Lotus Yoga Center. Laughing Lotus is in 2 locations now, one in New York and one in San Francisco. If you would like more information on Laughing Lotus Yoga Center, please go to www.laughinglotus.com. Enjoy the episode. Thank you for being on the show.
Amazing thing that you're going to offer the yoga community.
Thank you.
We're honored.
Thank you very much. So, when did you guys start practicing yoga?
My own personal journey with yoga began when everything that I thought that I was began to crumble away. I was a dancer and got a few intense injuries to where I couldn't dance anymore. I began to search, specifically through my mother, who was practicing the Shambhala path of Buddhism, and that's when I devoted my whole life to it. That's when I, was able to, say, this is my path, this is what I want to devote my whole life towards.
Dana?
I was going to hip-hop classes and doing the bump, the hustle. It was like, so far, I had no sense of spirit. I was very much in the world, and like, I wanted to achieve and become, out of Cornell, I was wanted to be on Wall Street and then open this restaurant, and I didn't even have a sense of anything other than like this plane. But what did help me with a teacher like Kita was that she wanted me to really explore for myself and dig a little deeper myself inside and get to know myself. And her inspiration for me was to investigate more, well, who am I? And what am I, when I practice yoga, what am I practicing? And what is yoga for me? And so that began not a lot of answers, but more self-inquiry and self-discovery and self-understanding and kind of making space for my journey without trying to solve it so much. Solve the mystery as enjoy and experience the mystery of my being. So that was a big, huge catalyst for me. And then when I came back from India, that's when, not far after, that's when Jasmine and I met. We found this rooftop playground with a jungle gym, high above, down in the West Village, where actually the immigrants first came to New York and were given jobs and food and stuff. So it was a community center. And we got it for our first summer, like 10 plus years ago. And it had squishy little floors and jungle gyms, and we could...
It was like a mat, too.
Yeah.
It had this
big mat in the sky. So here you are, like, you're a little closer to heaven, kind of like the flying mystic, you're up above it all. You kind of get the distance from your day and the distance from who you think you are during the day, your identity, and what you do and stuff.
And New York City being right there, like the whole mud of New York City. You
right in the middle
smell
of
it,
it.
you hear it,
yeah.
It's like, in the middle of the night, from restaurants yelling in the middle of it. I mean, you really could hear it. But here you were, like, in the world, but then free in the clouds, and then it would even rain, and nobody cared, and there'd be rainbows.
Like the priests would get on big columns just to get closer to God, so you felt that heavenly, that height. So it was called, we still have it to the day, it's on the site, Sunset Yoga. We started it back then. And we keep it because everybody loves to be outdoors from 7:30 until sunset. But then the summer ended, and we really had nowhere to go.
Right.
And the way that we were starting, it was interesting because Jasmine had referenced it too, is that we didn't realize how programmed we were, like the yoga that whomever who had turned us on to some of what they knew, was that we would move that way. And then when we thought, like, what would it be like if we moved like ourselves? What would it be like if we opened ourselves up as that divine instrument so that through this body temple, these body prayers could pour through us to see, like, well, we have to make our own footprints here. Like, it's great to follow what other people do, but we had no idea. Even when we first started, sun salutes exactly looked like what we did. And then little by little, being receptive, we started to feel like and explore and allow the movement to come through us as a creative adventure.
Like with any technique, you learn a technique to paint or to dance, and then you roll out your canvas. It was like, let's sort of get out of the way and see what comes through us. So part of what Dana was saying about the love, we realized everything is yoga.
So you have moved now to San Francisco, and you are opening up a yoga center here.
Right, and we're building the yoga center from the ground up because it was just this shell of a garage. I was born here, and Jasmine grew up here. And we'd always thought, like, we'd always had such an affinity, and we're so drawn, and the whole flavor and offerings of this city and what San Francisco, even if you say San Francisco, you feel, you know, what it reflects versus saying New York.
Right.
And so we loved them both, but we kept thinking, well, I guess when we, you know, down the road, when, you know, not when we're old, but down the road, yeah, I guess when we're older.
Down that old road.
Soon we'll open up in San Francisco, and then we just kept coming here more and more, and we were like, God, the connection is just so strong. We're not going to wait. We were driving by a place, and it said for rent right, you know, around the corner from here. And we called, and it was had been a plumber's shop for 35 years. Here it is, like the famous Mission Dolores, the big green German church, another church next to us, I think a Chinese Christian church, and then here's the Lotus, this little one level, about 3,000 square foot coming up. It was just mud, plywood floors, 2 fluorescent bulbs, no insulation.
And we never knew how we could leave we love what's happening in New York City as far as our Lotus there. And so Dana saying down the road one day, you know, we were like, how can we ever leave our love? You know, it's magical what happens, and especially in New York City. So much of who we are, me growing up here and Dana's soul print being born here, is inspired by what happens here, the activism, how people all get involved. It's the yoga, it's that connection where you can feel so separate in your life, and everybody that we met and we talked to here, they're like, I traveled around the world, and when I came to San Francisco, I finally felt part of. This is the only place I'll live.
Right.
You know, even
and that's like the emails that we get.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I came, you know, I'm in town from Europe, or I'm here, and I came to Laughing Lotus, and I can't believe the experience I've had practicing here, the classes, the people, we get emails all the time, people expressing how excited they are. They tripped upon Laughing Lotus. They're like, you're going to be in San Francisco?
Yeah.
I practice at Lotus in New York with you. I'm so glad you're coming here. And so we've been just we feel so welcome.
What would you tell the beginner walking into your class?
Well, the beginner thinks that they still have to wait for prompting outside. Certainly we will be their guides to a beginner.
Right.
It's in your nature. These shapes are all of these mystical shapes are already inside of you. So you also have to let yourself be surprised a little bit and flip. It really is a flip of thinking. Instead of thinking you have to get the pose, that there is this relationship, that these shapes, you and these shapes already exist, and that it's almost like you're meeting again.
Mm.
You know, this whole treasure, like you're sitting on the treasure, and it's inside of you, that willingness to stay open. I mean, perhaps the greatest gift, Brian, is the beginner's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, some of us that have come to, you know, show up again and again might not feel the utter glory of our dog like it's the first time.
And the gift of your injuries is the same way. You get to be a beginner.
Yeah.
You know, when you have an injury, you got to start from the ground up again, because let's say you're taken down. You know, I couldn't do anything for over 6 months.
If you woke up every day with that kind of new, like a beginner, you know, there's books written on it, beginner's mind, Zen mind, you know.
Yeah.
So to be a beginner, if we could all be a beginner every day, empty out, pour the contents out, and say, I'm new.
Right.
You know, and so through the practices, you know, everybody wants to feel more alive. So if you give to your life, you get more life. And that's really the soul of these practices, is to feel alive, aware, awake in your life.
Yeah, thank you for being here for our first episode. That'll be it. Namaste.
Namaste.